It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence. I'll tell you what we're going to do this hour. Kind of prepping you, a lot of the things that we find important to us is, some real basic fundamental things that we can make a big deal out of. I mean, like this silver thing, we can barter, something of value for something we have a value without the man. Well, that's legal. I mean, you right now can trade something. You're not required to take Federal Reserve notes to sell something. You're not required to pay in Federal Reserve notes. The legal tender laws say for all debts, public and private, debts. So if you're paying off your house or you're paying off your whatever, all debts. What that means is when the inflation goes crazy and you're going to be able to pay off your house with a week's wages, that's good. So it's like, get in debt, man, because all the big bad guys, they're in debt because what are they going to do? All these entitlements, people on fixed incomes, the whatever government debts and bonds, they go, we want to inflate. So we can print some more money, we just pay it off. Debt's good when you're in inflation. When you're actually just, spending your money, it ain't that good. So we've got to bypass this thing. We're going to be making a big deal out of this. We're prepping now, and we'll launch it beginning of January. And they take out Ernie. This is why, man. They don't like this one coming. But I get a little bit of buffer because Max Kaiser kind of led the way on that. And I'm going, go get him, man. He made me do it. Oh, Ron Paul, they're all to blame. Mind if I have some fun with it though? So we're going to be doing that. The other thing that is of great interest to me is what they do to people like me, you, people that are into me, people that are exposing this, people that are getting, a lot of talk show hosts and activists and so on that are bringing it like Julian Assange, WikiLeaks kind of deal. There were a lot of things. We put up yesterday a chronology of the kind of stuff that WikiLeaks has been putting out over the years. It wasn't just the war. There's a bunch of other banking stuff and all kinds of, a lot of things. So you can go look at that article. But the point is that, man, it was challenging the status quo. Can't have that, would not be prudent. So Naomi Wolf, she is a feminist. She was certainly progressive on the left and so on. And I really wanted to talk to her, but she just recently did an interview on Lew Rockwell. We're going to go ahead and play that, and it's probably going to take at least a couple of segments to get that out. But she really puts forth, her and Lew Rockwell did a lot to make sure that it's expressed what the concern is. And this is from, you go to places, we post a lot of stuff from Raw Story. Larissa Alexandrova is girlfriend of Scott Horton from antiwar.com. She was at the Freedom Summit. Man, she's telling me stuff scared the crap out of you. You're got troubles when you're interviewing people and they keep getting killed. Seriously. You go interview, get on the plane, turn around, they're dead now. This is bad stuff going on, man. You just she don't want to talk about it. Nope, don't want to talk about it. All right. Naomi Wolf, I remember I introduced her at the Revolution March in the summer, July of 2008, and we had her on the radio show before, and Charles's show and such, and she wrote the 10 Steps to Fascism, How to Have a Closed Society. And from her perspective, even on the left, all of a sudden they're starting to see it's not just like when the right or the left are in charge of government. Government itself is just bad. And she, like, Ernie, man, you libertarians are right. And I'm like, I'm glad you're starting to come on board. Well, the one thing that she said, it stuck in my mind. She goes, Yeah, I'll advocate. I'll be out there, screaming about this right up until my peers start getting arrested. Because this has happened in the past. It happened, thousands of editors and publishers were put in prison and presses destroyed by Lincoln. And you think Lincoln's a good guy? Yeah, just ask Judge Napolitano, Andrew Napolitano. He'll tell you all about it, how much of a scumbag he is. The other thing is that it goes to Woodrow Wilson, and we had the World War I, and they did the Espionage Act. Well, then you start hearing about legislators now in Capitol Hill and Washington going, "Oh, we gotta use the Espionage Act, gotta go after these guys." And if you let them, you can kiss it goodbye, man, because anybody complaining, terrorist, domestic terrorist, rendition, no court, no nothing, you're just gone. So I'm going to play you, and we'll get in segments, we'll get it done, because this is exactly what I wanted to talk to Naomi about. And Lou Rockwell had her on, and we're going to go ahead and do it. And now, keep in mind, this is from a left perspective. I'm going to go ahead and share this with you, and you'll see what I mean. Oh, now I lost where it was. Now, what we're going to do, here it is. Just start playing. Here we go.
What an honor it is to have as our guest this morning Naomi Wolf. Naomi is the author of 7 books, most recently The End of America, A Letter of Warning to a Young Patriot, and Give Me Liberty, a handbook for American revolutionaries. So Naomi, you've been for all your adult life, me for my much longer adult life, been fighting the march of the authoritarian state.
Yeah.
But I must say, even though I've been aware of this and against it for a very long time, the speed with which it's happening since 9/11, and then especially with this WikiLeaks business, it seems that the state is really showing its claws.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk to us about WikiLeaks, about what it indicates for our civil liberties and what we ought to be doing as American citizens?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I have to say, unfortunately, I really agree with you, Lou. When we last spoke about maybe a year and a half ago, we were talking about the sort of slide to fascism, and I definitely agree that in the last really few weeks, there's been this sort of rabid escalation on multiple fronts, and I think what I'm really struck by is the simultaneity of the TSA scanners, which basically gave the message to the American people that they have no privacy and they have no integrity and they have no Fourth Amendment, and that the state can do whatever it wants. The state can molest you, basically, and become a voyeur. These are not for national security. It's obvious the Israelis who take national security and terrorism very seriously mock and scoff at the notion that this $350 million deal by Michael Chertoff and his gang is in any way beneficial to national security. So that kicked in, and then I'm seeing the drama and in some ways the theater around WikiLeaks as another quite terrifying move on the part of the forces of authoritarianism to just bring the curtain down. And let me explain exactly what I mean. I wouldn't, you know me, I hate being this Cassandra figure who goes, oh my God, but every single one of the 10 steps toward fascism that you and I talked about a year and a half ago that I identified in my book, The End of America, is being activated. And everything I predicted is unfortunately coming true. There's a section of the book on page 134 about the Espionage Act that predicts exactly this scenario, and it's not because, as I've said before, it's not because I'm particularly insightful. It's because I've studied closing societies, and every single closing society does what they're doing now with Julian Assange. Every single closing society creates a kind of third rail, calls it national security, calls it classified information, and then drags in some representatives of journalism or of other aspects of civil society and calls them traitors or spies, locks them up and abuses them in some very visible ways. And once that happens, once there's such a law, it proliferates and proliferates and proliferates so that very quickly people like you and me are afraid to keep talking.
Yeah, you start to see where we're going with this. It's a great interview, and she brings up a lot of things I think we should know about. This is a progression. It's a progression, and it's going really fast. And we have a new advertiser on we're going to be promoting here at the end of towards the end of the show, because I have some information that I think we need to know. We'll talk about more when we come back.